Good morning, Tigers. Hey, I'm not there with you today, but I can still tell you about what we're going to be making. You guys all love cardboard tubes, and cardboard tubes are really useful for building with paper. We're going to be learning different strategies to build with paper over the next few weeks. But for right now, I'm just going to show you how to make different kinds of cardboard or paper tubes that you can use all over the place in the Fab Lab for building and creating what you want to do for art projects and maybe just building. So I just have some pieces of paper here. These are pieces of paper that were in the recycling bin at my house. It doesn't matter if they have words on them because we can put those in the middle anyway. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to notice that pieces of paper have, for the most part, most of the papers we see, a long side and a short side, and a long side and a short side. That's important to notice because as we learn different ways to fold the paper and to cut the paper and roll the paper, we're going to need to pay attention to which sides are the long sides and which sides are the short sides. So for the first tube we're going to make today, and hopefully the teacher that's in the room with you is going to make this tube too, I'm going to fold the short sides together. To do that, I'm going to line up the corners. See all those words that were on there just disappeared because I put them on the inside. I'm going to line up the corners of the short sides. Now I'm going to do this where you can't see it because I don't have another camera to show you. But I'm going to press down on the fold so that my paper folds in half. Now I have a fold, but I'm going to pinch it like this. Make sure my fold is really good. Okay, so I have my paper folded in half. Before I start to roll my tube, I'm going to get some tape ready. I'm going to use blue masking tape today so that you can see it better. But in the Fab Lab, right next to where the TV screen is, there's a big box, a blue box, and it's filled with rolls of tape that's kind of close to the color of the paper, and that's what you use today. So I'm going to use short pieces of tape because tape really likes to stick to itself. So if I use short pieces, then they're easier to use. And I'm going to stick it on the edge of my table, kind of like this, so that when I need to use the tape, I can pull it right off without it being stuck to the table. So right now I'm sticking the tape to the edge of my table. I'm going to get 3 pieces of small pieces of tape stuck to the edge of my table. I tore the tape because this tape is really thin and easy to tear, but if you need to use scissors, that's okay. You can cut the pieces of tape too. Either way works. All right, back to my folded piece of paper. Remember, I folded it with the short sides touching, and then I made my fold really good. Now I'm going to roll it up. I'm going to do it up here. This is way easier to do down on the table, but I want to make sure that you can see how I'm doing it. I'm rolling it up. I can see through it. I might need to tap the ends to get them so that they're the same. There we go. And now I need to tape this edge. If I let it go, it's going to go flat again. So I need to tape this edge because the tape's going to make it stay right where it is. All right, so there's one piece of tape. There's another piece of tape. Remember, the tape you're using is going to be almost the same color as the paper. It's a little bit yellower than the paper, but my tape is blue, so you can see it really good on the video. So now my tube is stuck together. I don't have to hold it on the fold anymore or on the roll anymore because it's all stuck together. I can use this tube just like a paper towel tube. You guys love paper towel tubes, but we don't have them all the time. So this is a way that we can use them and make more when we don't have any more. All right, so this tube is pretty strong. Watch, I'm going to try to crush it between my hands. Watch. I'm pushing really hard. See, it made a circle on my hand, but it didn't crush the tube. This tube is strong because it has many layers of paper stacked up. If I try to crush it this way, it will squish. Just like if I try to crush a paper towel tube that way, it squishes. So this is strong this way, but still squishes this way. Okay. What if you want a taller tube? Well, let me show you how to do that. So here is another piece of paper that was in the recycling bin at my house. I'm gonna fold it with the tall sides touching, the long sides touching. So the other way from how I folded it before. Line up the corners. And then you're not gonna see it for a second because I gotta fold it on my table. I'm gonna fold it in half with those corners touching. And now I'm gonna make sure that that fold is really good. Now the next thing I need to do is get my tape ready. You might have pulled off more pieces of tape than you needed that first time. That's great. Then you already have your tape, but you usually want 2 or 3 pieces of tape, short pieces of tape. I'm sticking them on the edge of my table, short pieces. Remember, you can use scissors to cut the tape if you need to, or if you want to try tearing it. I'm going to push my thumb right where I want to tear. I'm going to use the finger and thumb of my other hand to tear it across like that. All right, I've got my tape stuck on the edge of my table. I've got my piece of paper folded in half. Now I'm going to roll it this way. Okay, here goes. It's a little trickier to do this one, but it's trickier to do it up in space like this instead of on the table. But I got it. Now I can put my tape on here to hold it together. One close to the bottom, one in the middle, one at the top. And now I have one short tube, one tall tube. I can actually put them inside each other if I want to, and look at that. Now I got a tube that can turn. That's pretty cool. All right, I'm going to show you how to make a super strong tube. Yesterday, a 3rd grader made a bunch of these tubes and it was able to hold up a lot of weight. So let's try that. I'm going to fold it again, but this time I'm going to fold it 2 times. So right now I'm folding short sides together. Now, that's not a good crease. Now, here's my short side and here's my long side. So this time I'm going to fold long sides together. I'm going to have 2 folds, but if I look at the end of it, I'll see that there's 4 layers of paper, 4 layers. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's already getting thicker. In fact, it's so thick that it's going to be hard to roll. So when I roll, I'm going to use a marker and I'm going to roll it around the marker instead of just trying to roll it. You could do that with any of the tubes. Roll them around a marker, and then if you're having trouble making it roll, use the tool. So I'm going to get my tape, get it ready. So remember, I'm going to tear short pieces of tape, stick them on the edge of the table so that when I need them, they're going to be ready. This time I'm only going to need 2 because this is going to be a pretty short but mighty roll. Okay, I'm going to use my marker like this. And I'm going to roll the paper around it. Remember, when you're doing this, and whichever teacher's in the classroom with the kids right now, when you're showing this, please do this down on a table. It's much, much easier to roll it when it's flat on the table than when you're holding it up in space like I'm doing right now. I'm just doing this so that you can see what I'm doing. All right, this is going to be so many layers of paper. It's going to be really strong. All right, there's my rolled up around the marker. Put my tape on the loose edge over here. 1 tape, 2 tape. You can see I only needed 2 pieces of tape and that took up almost the whole area. Now look how many rolls of paper that is, how many layers of paper. That is so many layers of paper. This is really super strong. If you had a few of these, they could hold up a book. It could hold up some pretty heavy things. So maybe you want to experiment with that today, or maybe what you want to build today needs some legs, some strong legs. This is a good way to make strong legs for things. I want to show you how to make a tube stand up because kids get so excited about having tubes stand up, but this is short. This is very narrow and it's not good for putting glue on. So I'm going to use a paper technique that makes this base wider so that I can attach it to another piece of paper or a piece of cardboard or something else. So I'm going to use my scissors and I'm going to make some small cuts, just little like snips, snip, snip. I'm not cutting very far. I'm not even cutting all the way to my tape, just some small little cuts. And then when I unfold them like this, it's going to look kind of like fingers spread out like this. And actually the word for this is phalanges, which is the science word for your fingers. So there we are. There's our phalanges. Now I can take this and attach it onto another piece of paper like this with tape. Let me show you how I do that. Let me get my tape ready. 3 pieces of tape. Here goes. 1. Pick, pick, peel, tear. 2. Pick, pick, peel, tear. 3. All right, I'm going to attach this to this so that it stands up or is underneath, whichever way you want to use it. And I'm just going to put the first one on there so it sticks a little bit so I can hold it up for you. All right, so I've got the first one on there. So I taped across those phalanges. I'm going to tape across the other one. And now I'm going to put the third piece of tape across those last few that aren't attached yet. And check this out. It's totally attached to a flat surface. It's not going to come off very easily. So that's a good way to attach something so that it stands up all on its own instead of using glue, which doesn't hold it very well. So the tape you can use today is the masking tape. You can use the recycled paper that's on the table. It's got printing on one or maybe both sides, but that's okay because you're going to roll it up into a tube shape anyway. You could use construction paper, or maybe you're going to think of something else you're going to do. You can use the art materials to make something you want to take home. You can use the building materials to build something that stays in the classroom. But remember that we only have 2 kids working in any space at a time. So 2 kids using the marble run or 2 kids using the dominoes. If you're making something art, we just have 2 kids at a table so that we can stay spread out. All right, have a great Fab Lab. Don't forget when the timer goes off, we all stop and clean, and I'll see you soon.